Good evening. Welcome to Press Play. I'm your host, Cedric Fisher. Thank you for joining us again for another week of festivities and events, and to introduce you to an individual in town doing some significant work in the neighborhood and the community. Of course, if this is your very first time tuning into the show, you can find us at blackvideonews.com. Like our Facebook page, Black Book Studios, and to find this particular show on our YouTube channel, Black Video Network, go to your browser bar, toss bbn.news in the browser bar, or in your YouTube search bar, Black Video Network, all one word, no spaces. When you get to YouTube, look for the subscriber button. We appreciate you subscribing. Hit the thumbs up, give us a like, and there will be a bell next to that subscriber button so you won't miss any future episodes of Press Play. We've had an eventful week. COVID is still out there. I want everybody to remember that. We've got some larger issues or more sensational issues that are going on. Of course, the election happened this week. It's been a lot of controversy as a result of it. A lot of questions still going on at the presidential level. And we're all praying that this will come to an end sometime soon and we can all move on with our lives. But COVID is still out there. In fact, it's been surging in certain states. Of course, disproportionately impacting the African American community. Want to encourage you guys to make sure you stay social distance, keep your mask on, and stay healthy. And just listen to the medical experts tell us how to operate and move forward. Back to the election. So we had a couple of victors this week, folks who won their race, and we want to give a shout out to Miss Catherine, better known as Cat Brown. She's the first African American woman elected constable, Precinct 4. Miss Gloria Ray, who is now the Alamo College's trustee, District 2. Miss Barbara Gervin Hawkins, who we all know has been reelected at the state rep level. Also want to acknowledge Sheriff Salazar, who was reelected, and Ms. Liz Campos, who now has gone into her freshman inaugural season as a state rep. And just want to congratulate all of those who made it through. If we missed any names, we apologize, and by all means, just reach out to us, and we'll make sure we get you covered in the next show, the next particular episode of Press Play. November happens to be National Diabetes Month, so a lot of folks are talking about diabetes and supporting the cause, and of course nutrition and those things. Diabetes, as we know, is a huge issue in the African American community. We want to make sure everybody stays healthy, takes care of yourself, watch your diet, and if you are on meds, take your meds. Just make sure you keep this under management. This is also Movember. No Shave November is what they call it. So you can see I got the mustache coming in here, and a lot of gentlemen around town. You see some other news anchors that are growing beards and not shaving. Just to bring it, again, focus and attention to the fact that men get breast cancer, and then cancer in general, colon cancer, prostate cancer, all the things that we have to battle through. Each week on Press Play, we have the privilege of hearing from a leader in the community, an individual who's doing some significant work in all the sectors, whether it's education, civic duty, entrepreneurship, clergy, sports and entertainment, or whatever the sector is. We get those folks to come on the show, and we talk to them about the great work they're doing and introduce you to their cause, which, if you feel inclined, you can help support. So today we have the privilege of having on the show Mr. Bobby Blount. Bobby, we'd like to welcome you to Press Play.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here. I'm looking forward to it.
Let me give you a quick rundown on Bobby, and then I'll have him introduce himself to the viewing audience here. So Bobby is currently the department head of the MITRE Corporation. And he's and also site lead, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, you can explain that to us during the show if you'd like. His credentials, he's a Doctor of Law from George Mason University, lawyer.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's correct.
Okay. Has a Master of Science from St. Mary's University in Systems Management.
That's correct.
And also a Bachelor of Science and Engineering from the USAF Academy, former Air Force.
That's correct. 5 years, that's correct.
5 years.
Yep.
We appreciate your service, Bobby. Bobby is also, he sits on 7 boards. 7?
Yeah, I think it's 7. Yeah.
7 different
Yeah.
boards. I'm just going to name 4 of them here. He sits on the Bexar County School Board of Trustees,
Yep.
Northside ISD Board, San Antonio Area African American Community Fund, that's a big one, the Texas Caucus of Black School Board Members.
That's correct.
Right?
Yes, correct.
That's a busy individual. Welcome to the show, Bobby.
Well, thank you again.
So to get started,
Yeah.
why don't you just go ahead and talk to our audience, tell us about your background, where you're from, that sort of thing.
Yeah, my family's actually from Ohio, Dayton, Ohio. But my dad decided to join the military, so he actually put 29 years of service. I said 5 for me. He did the 29 years of service for our family, so we had the opportunity to live, literally all across the world and all across the U.S., which sort of gave my perspective on seeing different things. I mean, I went to school, for example, in places like Mississippi, Utah, Delaware, et cetera, so we had great variety in growing up. So watching him and the success he had, played a big part. Currently, right now, myself, I've got the wife and 2 kids that I'm very pleased. Both are doing very well and being very successful themselves. So that's a little bit about myself. And like I said, my family is still largely in Dayton, Ohio, for the most part. My mom is now in Virginia, but our roots are from that area.
You get back to Dayton occasionally?
I haven't been back to Dayton. Don't get me in trouble now. But I haven't been back to Dayton in a while. It's been a while since I've been back. But I do need to go back there.
What's a while? 10 years? 5?
It's probably about 6 or 7 years since I've been back to Dayton, Ohio. Yeah, I do go to Virginia because I got to see my mom without a doubt now that she moved there. But I haven't been back to Dayton in a while.
So as a kid in Dayton, what were some of the activities you got involved in? Sports, academics?
Yeah, actually growing up, I went to 10 different schools across the nation and even overseas in places like Panama. We even lived in Morocco for a while, et cetera.
Yeah.
And my dad always encouraged to do everything. My dad was, not only was he in the military, he also was a coach, and he coached like all Air Force basketball teams and some other things. So so he encouraged me to do everything. So I definitely got involved with sports, without a doubt. I got involved with being a captain of patrol and those type of things. I got involved in academic competitions. So I was early on able to do a variety of things, and he encouraged that.
We know that moving around from school to school is Air Force dependence or it's military dependence. A lot of us in the audience here. So when you move from place to place, did you enjoy that, or did you find that challenging and stressful as a kid?
As a kid, I actually enjoyed it. I look back now, I probably see it as more stressful. You look back later, I don't know how I did that per se. And I talked to other military dependents, they sort of have that same perspective. But I think at the time, I enjoyed meeting new people, going out to new schools, facing new challenges, et cetera.
Yeah.
It was easier when you're in elementary age. Middle school, it starts to be a little bit more challenging. And then high school, as you can imagine, when you're more set on your friends and what you're doing and your routine, especially when you play sports. You starting in a sports and you move somewhere else, it gets difficult to make the team and do some other things. But other than that, I think I definitely enjoyed it, and it was very meaningful for me.
So you're in a variety of professional activities now.
Yeah.
Which means you see a lot of different people in different sectors.
Yeah.
Do you think that experience has helped you in any way?
No doubt at all. It really did help me out, especially the places that I have lived in. I mean, when I lived in and went to school in Mississippi, for example, I actually got bused. I was there during the segregation time and some other things. So, I went through that difficulty of, hey, we're going to try to reset the schools, my way of saying, et cetera. Mm-hmm. And, I can still remember the very first day that we got bused from, actually went by the school that I attended to go to another school, and just seeing the protesters out there that were dead set against us, and having the police actually have to stand in front of the bus to let us enter the school, et cetera.
Wow.
You go through that once, those type of things stay vivid. So I go from an environment and that type of experience, and then I go to somewhere like Utah right after that, which is the direct opposite. I think in my graduating class of 895, 5 of us were African Americans. So that, so you can imagine that's a little bit different experience in Mississippi, but it's some things also.
Yeah.
And then also, being up in the Northeast and, some of the challenges that we face up there. So there's no doubt that not only had an impression, but really sort of why I'm so involved with the community today from those experiences I had early on.
And it helps you work with all sorts of different people.
Without a doubt.
All those different places.
You got it. That's absolutely correct.
So what's your primary line of work right now?
Yeah, I'm actually, like you said, I'm the department head and also the site leader here for my corporation. And our company, most people don't understand, is we only work for the government. And we are set up as what they call operating federally funded research and development centers, sort of a long terminology. But basically what that means is we're set up to work the government's most difficult problems. So in this particular area, my expertise has, and it's been that way for some years, is in cybersecurity. So right now, cybersecurity has been real popular. We've been doing it for about 30 years in the San Antonio area. So we're out there trying to defend, protect our nation against some of the more difficult challenges that we can't talk too much about on this particular line, to be honest, but that's the type of thing that I'm doing. So I'm actually in charge of running that. I have about 70 engineers in this area that have worked for me, that are in that particular field, and we have some other areas that we work in too. So those are the responsibilities of what I'm doing. We say we're making the world safer per se, so it's really engineering and technical type challenges that we take on for the government.
Outstanding. And then you have your board work that you do outside of that.
Oh yeah, well yeah, all the boards and stuff, that's the paid part of the job. The different boards are on, that's the unpaid part of the job, etc. So yeah, that's that's definitely taken a lot of time. And I try to take on some leadership and responsibility roles with not only the Northside Board, but the Bexar County School Board Coalition and other things. Yeah. So yeah, that's correct.
Outstanding. How has COVID-19 impacted you professionally?
Yeah,
in your work?
Yeah, COVID-19 definitely impacted my work because of the type of work that we do per se. We work in, let's say, classified type environments, and when we couldn't get access necessarily to our facilities, we still had to figure out how to continue our work. So I had to work very closely with my staff and the sponsor to say, okay, how do we continue this work? When can we go in those environments? What else can we do to make sure that our nation is protected from a cybersecurity sense? Our staff were not used to working at home, and I right now have the majority of them working at home, so that was a big change. So we had to figure out, okay, how do we even make sure everybody has what they need to be able to work at home and those type of things, and then dealing with the personal challenges that they have and working in those new environments, and you have more personnel type challenges too that you're trying to deal through this. So that's how it has sort of the immediate impact, and I can tell you, interesting thing you may want to note, because of my responsibility of being in charge of our site here in San Antonio, I'm tracking the data that the mayor and the county judge, I've got my own spreadsheet and staff that are tracking that on a daily basis because we need to know that type of information of what's going on with this city and the other aspects to it, et cetera. The other big impact also had is the community events. I mean, we take something small like the instant impact we had is I have an event I run called the Solar Race Car event. It has 1,300 elementary school kids. And when COVID hit, they were ready to go to state. We had to cancel all those type of things.
No.
Yeah, it had to.
Wow.
We couldn't do it at all, so that was a big impact, et cetera.
Solar race cars.
Solar race car.
Okay.
Yeah, we've done.
Driven by the sun.
No, exactly.
Okay.
Little model solar race cars. We started 23 years ago as a STEM activity in San Antonio. I started out with 16 students, and now we have 1,300 kids that are all racing those cars and other things up till last year.
And that's exciting.
Et cetera.
Love to see that.
The other thing I was going to let you know real quick on that really has an impact is on the school board and education type things. So I've been working with all the trustees across the state as well as locally to make sure that we had local control to be able to open up the schools. We had the federal and state governments sort of trying to say, hey, this is how things happen, and we were saying, wait a minute, no, things here locally, we need to make those type of decisions. So we were advocating, and I've written some letters to the governors and others on behalf of the different trustees. So COVID-19 definitely had and continues to have a big impact on what I'm doing.
Okay. We're talking with Mr. Bobby Blount. We'll take a break, and we'll be right back on Press Play.
Nothing to do this week? Don't miss another event. Go to blacksinsanantonio.com for our event calendar. The home of the largest business directory in San Antonio with an African American focus. Sign up today for our weekly e-blast and text message alerts. Help us make this a better community. Connect, empower, grow.
Hey, Kevin, you thinking about retirement?
Of course I've thought about it, but there's all this stuff in the way.
Oh, you're not kidding.
The house, the kids are going to college.
My new car.
Car? You bought a new car?
Oh, hey, you should meet my friend Avo. Avo's a retirement coach. He'll help get you started.
But what does Avo tell you to do?
You don't know? Focus on your future. Your goals can still be met.
But how?
Target your tomorrow and use the Avo bet.
You sing?
Not really. A is for taking action. Start off with a plan.
You built these letters?
Yep. V is for variety. There's so many ways you can.
I follow you.
Come on. O's for optimize your savings.
Let Avo lead the way.
Visit aceyourretirement.org today.
Nice sign.
Thanks, I made it myself.
Cool.
If you love concerts and live theater, going to baseball games, and eating in restaurants, inside, if you love parties and the small talk with the guy who makes you iced coffee the right way, then wear a mask and let's beat this virus so we can get back to the things we love. Mask up, America.
Before we celebrate the freedom most Americans have, we must fight for the freedom all Americans deserve. Because all lives can't matter until Black lives matter.
Press Play, I'm Cedric Fisher. We're here today with Mr. Bobby Blount, and we left for break discussing COVID-19 and how it has impacted his life professionally. Bobby, let's talk about the San Antonio Area African American Community Fund.
Right.
How have you guys responded to COVID? Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I tell you, we have really tried to up our game, and that's put it lightly during this particular year because of our philosophy has always been how do we impact philanthropy within the community. And now that has more of a meaning to us because of the impact of COVID-19. So one of the very first things that we did was we wanted to get more money out to the community. So we actually have increased our grants amount that we're giving out to nonprofits that are having an impact. We say it has an impact at least 70% within the community. And we're finding a lot of those are COVID-19 related. We've actually today got additional funding from an organization to help out in the grants program. So we've been saying, hey, look, we got to get more money out there. We got to get more funds out there to support as one aspect. One of the other critical things that we're actually going to have an official announcement next week about it is we created what's called the Social Justice Fund. So we're very concerned about voting. Like, you can put it lightly, as you can imagine right now, voting rights, et cetera, and individuals are being denied that. We're very concerned in San Antonio with the lack of those in the jurisprudence field to be able to support a legal field, to support those that have civil and housing rights taken away. So that's what this fund is being able to support. So Kara and Brian Wright helped us kick that particular fund off. And then one of the first aspect we're doing is going to be supporting those that need bail relief. You wouldn't believe how big a problem that is in San Antonio.
They need bail relief.
Bail relief, right. We've got people that are, the way that we sort of stating it is, one night in jail changes somebody's life forever. And there are people right now that having to post bail at $10 that cannot afford to. They're spending the night over jail, and you can imagine the impact. We said we've got to do something about that. And then our last big effort is we've initiated a study of the status of African Americans in San Antonio, and we're trying to collaborate with everybody we can to help out in all different areas, as we know, overlap education, the housing side of the house, and et cetera, and social justice, criminal, et cetera, to not only identify what's going on within our community, but to say, hey, what are we going to do about it? What policy changes? What solutions? So those are things we're trying to drive. So we're going beyond just our grant making aspect to say we've got to have more of an impact within the community right now because we see the detriment that COVID-19 is having.
For those of us in the audience who don't necessarily understand the San Antonio Area African American Community Fund, introduce it to us. What's the mission and kind of the vision?
Yeah, so the San Antonio Area African American, most of the time it's an independent fund that is under the umbrella of the San Antonio Area Foundation. But we manage everything ourselves. We have our own board, we manage our own dollars, we decide on causes, etc. The mission has always been, from the very beginning, is how do we build up philanthropy within the community? And you say, well, okay, what does that mean? And what we're trying to say is there are great organizations doing great things out there without a doubt, but they don't have the operations type capital, or they don't have the experience. And they're also looking at, for example, on our business side, and we're looking at African-American-owned businesses, I think we know that, one, we're not getting all the contracts and the other things that others are getting, but we're also very small too. And what we're saying is, wait a minute, we need to establish ourselves and help out as being major institutions. We should be able to have a black-owned firm that in San Antonio that's as big as Microsoft. What does it take to make that happen? How do we get not only the community support, but big organizations and others to really put in more of an investment and more of a commitment to helping us out within our community in the various areas of business, education, achievement gap, and et cetera. So that's what we're trying to focus on, or what we're trying to do.
They're doing fantastic work, and certainly a big value to the community here. Next question, Bobby. We have the privilege on the show here of meeting incredible people. Majority of them are leaders, movers, and shakers, very influential and authoritative, making stuff happen on a regular basis. One thing we know leaders have in common is leaders are readers. They've always got a good book close to them.
Yep.
That book, and they may only look at that book once a year, maybe once every couple of years, kind of dust it off and go back to a favorite passages that they had in the book. Some read it regularly on a daily basis. Some use a Kindle or an iPad. That book is typically found on their nightstand. Bobby, what book's on your nightstand?
Well, I'm going to change your description just a little bit in the case of my nightstand, because there's some work that I'm undertaking on 2 books that I'm helping to write right now. One of those is the Bexar County School Board Coalition. So all the 134 trustees in this area are writing a book about public education in Bexar County. And we've been working on that for the last year and a half, and we're at the point right now where we're ready to edit and publish that, et cetera. And so a lot of my effort right now is focusing on, hey, we've got to make this book the very best that we can, and talking about all the districts in San Antonio, talking about what is going on with COVID-19 within the districts, talking about what this Go Public campaign is, and how we can help out with education as a whole. So that's book 1.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to cheat on you a little bit. And then book 2, which is extremely important to me, is our status of African Americans in the San Antonio area. So I'm really helping to pull that together, in terms of there's a number of entities that have sort of touched on that lightly in different areas. Somebody's done health, somebody's done education, et cetera. And what we're working on is trying to pull it all together so we tell a more complete story to show how everything impacts. So those are ones.
Okay.
Don't quite answer your question, but those are the 2 books that I got on my nightstand right now.
That's work on your nightstand.
Yeah, it is.
That's fantastic. When will the book, the second one you mentioned, when is that due to launch or be available to the public?
Yeah, coincidentally, both are scheduled for December.
For December, okay.
Yeah, both
so that'll be this year sometime.
That's correct.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
But we'll give you another shot. Are there any other books that you kind of...
Oh, yeah.
This is one of your go-to books you refer to on a regular basis, or occasionally, you just have to reread it.
I know what you're asking. I may be failing as a leader then. I can't think of it. And I was prepared to answer it. I thought about it some. I really don't have anything else per se along those particular lines.
2 books like that.
I really don't.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's all good. Mr. Bobby Blount here. Last question. This is your opportunity to make the ask to the audience. Maybe you could use some support on some of your causes, or there's some events that are coming up you want everybody to come out and attend, or I don't know, take a survey or anything like that. And if folks do want to follow up with you, how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, I'll be happy to give out my phone number. It's 210-334-1320. Or my email is really easy. It's just my initials, bb@mitre.org. Feel free to contact me. We really am encouraging others, especially with the African American Community Fund. We need more help out there. We need more resources out there. One of the elements we have is a group called our Rising Professionals, and those are sort of the up-and-coming emerging leaders, and they're always hosting different type of events, and they're helping out the community, and we're trying to get more folks engaged in that particular light. So that's something that I will encourage others definitely to be involved with. You know, there's only one other ask I would really make. I really focus at this particular time to ask everybody to really be successful in their own swim lanes. Look at what you can do to help out in, and I'll be selfish, the African American community. If you're in the education end, get involved with your school districts, figure out what's going there, et cetera. If you're in the health end, see how you can help out. So my real ask to everybody is let's work within our own swim lanes, and then we can help everybody else also. So that's the one I have.
Step up and step in.
That's it. And right now,
Yeah.
especially, very, very critical.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Bobby, thanks for all those thoughts and that information. And a lot of folks now know Mr. Bobby Blount sits on a slew of great boards in the city here, and owner of MITRE Corporation.
Not owner of this, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, because it's about 8,000 employees.
Oh,
It's based on the East Coast, but yeah.
Wrong title. Very important and influential, Mr. MITRE Corporation. We
Yeah,
thank you for
yeah.
your time. And we appreciate you guys joining us this evening for Press Play. We'll be back next week, same time, same channel. Remember, you can find us, blackvideonews.com, like our Facebook page, Black Book Studios. In your search bar, your browser bar, put bvn.news, or if you are on our YouTube channel, Black Video Network, all one word, no spaces in the YouTube search bar. We'll see you back here next week. Take good care of yourselves. Thank you for joining us. Good night.